One.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the Roland Grimes Sports and Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Roland Bubba Grimes. And as always, my resident co-host with me right now is Mr. Self-Empowerment, Wilbert Skipper.
Go Skip!
We're taping live once again from the Zone Restaurant under the jurisdiction of Mr. Finesse Demps, LFP Media, and also my esteemed cameraman, Mr. DL. We have another dynamite show for you this week. As we continue this process and this progress, we have some dynamic young ladies who are going to talk to us a lot about healthy bodies, healthy minds, and healthy businesses. At first, I want to introduce you to, on my far right, and Skip's left, a young lady who possesses a PhD, public administration. She does some consulting work for and with small businesses, not-for-profits, and also has a long history with wellness and fitness. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Margot Bailey. Margot, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Now, real quick, to my near right, your left, is someone that I call an effervescent fitness aficionado. She is the CEO, the curator, creator of what is known as Fru Fit Affordable Fitness. She hails right here from the Washington, D.C. area. I had a chance to sit down with her, have a long conversation, found her to be very dynamic, very passionate, and very powerful in her interest in developing fitness for all and for helping people to maintain healthy lifestyles. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Miss Patrice Jones. Now, I know we don't look like it, but we're like cousins. We're all from like Southeast Washington, D.C. Myself, Skip, Patrice. I think that Patrice might have been on the other side of the family, but we're all related in some way, in some form or fashion. Look here, we're gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna start with Dr. Bailey real quick. I will call her Margot for the purpose of our conversation. Margot, you're involved with some development for businesses. You do some consulting work. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right, I work for a company called Brighter Strategies, which is a consulting firm that does a lot of work with nonprofit organizations in the Metro DC area. So we work on organizations behind the scene, and so we help develop their infrastructure and also starting to do more work around team building, helping organizations and their employees focus more on work and life balance, because that's an essential part of workplace productivity.
Now, this concept of working life balance, can you expound on that a little bit for us?
Sure. If you've ever worked more than 40 hours a week.
Never.
Okay. So it's the notion of sometimes we bring way too much to work and not as much of it to the life, to our home lives. And so work-life balance is finding that, what is the right amount of time we should be spending at work and what is that right amount of time you should be spending at home. And so you're not stressing out trying to really serve two masters at one time. We have to find that balance that makes it possible for us to live the best life as we're working as well as taking care of our families.
I really admire and love the way you articulated that, because our other guests, Ms. Patrice Jones and I have had a number of conversations about this work-life balance thing. Tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your average day in the life of Fru Fit, Miss Jones.
Oh, goodness. I was hoping you were talking.
I know you were. That's
Well, my first personal training session starts at 5 a.m., which means I have to be there at
5 a.m. in the morning?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And then I train all day long, and I have maybe a break midday, and then I'm training on average, until about 9:30, because I do some other things. For example, when I'm at the Boys and Girls Club of Washington on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings, and that's until 8, and then I have another session after that in Waldorf from 8:30 to 9:30. So I have a balance. I don't know how balanced it is.
You don't know if the life part. So Skip, they didn't notice. I matched them up together so they can consult to one another.
Absolutely.
But I set you up. Skip.
Well, Dr. Margot, let me ask you this question. In regards to the strategic planning aspect of what you do, For our viewing audience, can you talk a little bit about that process and tell us why that process is very important in what you do, or a part of what you do for your businesses as well as for other people's interests?
Right. Strategic planning is important because sometimes you get so caught up in the day-to-day of running your business that you're not being mindful of how the world that impacts your business is changing around you. So you could be doing the same thing every day and all this, doing it very well. Then all of a sudden something comes up, and it was there all the time, but you never took the time to think about how it was going to impact your business. And now all of a sudden you're in a reactive mode as opposed to a proactive mode. So strategic planning gives you the opportunity to do a scope of what's happening well inside my organization, but also what's happening outside of my organization, of my business, that's impacting our ability to achieve its mission and its goals. So strategic planning is an opportunity just to take a moment to stop, reflect, and understand, so what are we going to have to do different so we can continue to be sustainable over time.
Now, can you talk a little bit about some of the core values that are incorporated within that process, just so that we'll have a better idea as to how that all comes together from the beginning to the end?
Some of those core values include learning and listening, and that's important because we don't always listen very well to what we're learning. In that, again, in that day-to-day mode, you're learning a lot, but you're not really paying attention or listening to how, oh wow, what did I get from this?
So sort of passive listening,
Passive listening, active learning.
Okay.
So you're really taking in, so in the strategic, in the core values of strategic planning, it is that opportunity, and I'll add self-reflection, or reflection is a core value, because you really have to take an honest look at, okay, what does all this mean for me? And oftentimes we don't want to do that, and one of the toughest things about strategic planning or thinking about what's going to be different about my business or my company is, well, how do I need to change? And a lot of times, people who start companies don't always want to make that leap, because it means I can't do it the way that I used to do it, because now, wait a minute, I got to let something go, and you're not quite ready to let it go. So that's another important part about strategic planning, is you got to be able to let things go in order to move forward, and that's difficult for a lot of people.
Okay.
Now, I know, Patrice, as you, speaking of letting go, I know that somewhere in your journey, you were involved with family members, friends who were, in your own words, so to speak, were not engaging in healthy lifestyles. And even yourself, you talked a little bit about, off the record, you talked a little bit about some of your growth over time and how you realized you had to make some changes. Now,
Right.
she talks about in terms of strategic planning, strategic changes. What were some of those things that happened in your journey that made you say, okay, I need to do something differently. I want to start this business. I want to take this as far as I can, and I want to have this impact on people's lives. What were those events? What were some of those mileposts in your life that made you decide to take on the kind of project that you're doing right now?
Well, one of the first things was my ability to just be mobile, just going upstairs. I was 210 pounds. I'm almost 5'4". And then while
I'm trying to keep a straight face when you say that. I was 210 pounds when I was in the 3rd grade, so God forgive me. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
And then I was working. I used to do PeopleSoft for a nonprofit organization, and I got really sick with pulmonary embolisms, which are blood clots of the lung, which not many people survive. And my 2-year-old son woke me up out of my sleep and pretty much saved my life. I had just started working out, and that was very emotional for me, because no one wants to have their kid see them ill, and to know that you can change that, and you can make yourself well. And so I've kind of found health and fitness, and I started, reading about the things that I was eating. I used to love McDonald's just like everybody else. Extra cheese, extra tartar on a fish sandwich that I thought was healthy.
You're making me hungry. Stop that. I'm getting hungry as she's talking. Go ahead.
And so I had blood clots 3 times at my job, 3 times. And the 3rd time I was like, okay, God just trying to tell me something. Sitting was literally killing me and giving me blood clots, along with the gene that I had developed with not taking care of my body. And then in the interim, I lost my brother, who was 37 years old, and he was on life support for almost 6 weeks. And during that time, I never missed my workout. I went to the hospital every day. I just put on my tennis shoes. I would walk to the hospital from 5th and E downtown in DC all the way up to Howard University. I just extended my lunch break. So I meticulously, I changed my mind to change my life. And a lot of people, you talk about strategic plan, and a lot of people don't do that. They just go about day to day to day, get up, go to work, either skip lunch, eat through lunch, go to lunch, eat bad things, and they come home, or they got something with the kids and they make excuses. Oh, I don't have time. But you always have time. You always have an opportunity to change your mind. And so that's pretty much what led me to where I am.
Wow. Now, I know Skip and I, we were supposedly we were these athletes in training all of our lives. So some of what you're describing to us was built into our daily regimen. As we return, when we come back to the Rolling Grimes Sports and Entertainment Show, we're going to talk to these young ladies a little bit more about what some of those strategies are that any of us can incorporate in making those lifestyle changes necessary to be successful when we return to the Rolling Grimes Sports and Entertainment Show very shortly. Thank you.